evening, and welcome back to the Ingram Angle. Last time I said good morning, someone's been doing too much of the morning show. Thanks for being with us. President Trump is hitting an angry nerve with the left. The administration is officially withdrawing Obama-era rules promoting the use of race in college admissions. Instead, local colleges and universities will now be encouraged to adopt race-blind admissions. Since news of the decision, many of Trump's critics, they've been apoplectic.
It's a serious mistake, and it sends a deeply dangerous signal to all of our school communities that this administration does not believe in, is not here to support diversity and inclusion in our school communities.
This is yet just a game, an example of an effort to turn back the hands of time, to retrogress when it comes to civil rights. This is a repeal of 7 Obama-era guidances. It's consistent with what the Justice and Education departments have done. We must resist this because it is inconsistent with American values.
This administration has a great disdain for diversity.
Disdain for diversity, but not everyone in the world of higher education sees it that way. Some, in fact, say that Trump's reversal is a win for students. One of them is Dr. Carol Swain, author and former professor of political science and law at Vanderbilt University, as well as Princeton University. She joins us now, along with Democratic strategist Antoine Seawright. Thank you both for joining us this evening. Carol, let me start with you. If you would, please explain what this does and why you believe this change by the Trump administration is a good thing.
Well, first of all, I'll say that I have been a professor for 28 years, and affirmative action race-based affirmative action has been around all of those 28 years. So it's not something that Obama initiated, but Obama became far more aggressive with it. And it seemed as if his administration believed that everyone belonged in college. And this has done a disservice for many students who are not prepared for the colleges that they have been able to gain admission. And so for black students, it results in situations where only about 38% graduate in 6 years. Many students incur debt and they leave school. They had the debt. They don't have a college degree. They could have been successful at a lesser school or one that was more appropriate for their qualifications, or maybe they were someone that could have gone into trade school.
Antoine, the doctor has been on these campuses. Your response?
Well, with all due respect, I think this is par for the course with this administration. This is really not about affirmative action. This is really not about anything that the professor may be referring to. This is just Trump's effort to take this country full steam backwards. The president campaigned on the fact that he wanted to undo and redo any Obama-era policy because he simply wanted to make Barack Obama his political boogie person.
So there couldn't be a disagreement. There couldn't be a legitimate policy disagreement that maybe racial preferences aren't totally healthy to admissions.
Pete, these policies and measures were put in place to ensure that African Americans and the minorities in this country had their seat at the table, because for far too long we have been on the menu and never had our rightful place at the table. Look, if these policies were not in place, perhaps people like me would have never had opportunities to get into certain colleges and universities in this country. And so the bottom line is, I think this is needed, I think it's necessary, and I think this is just Donald Trump's way of feeding his base a red meat issue.
Carol, your response?
I disagree. Even before affirmative action became the law of the land, schools that did not discriminate against blacks had blacks on their student body. The Ivy League schools, they had black students.
It's not about them having
let her finish,
blacks on the student body.
Let you finish.
But the thing that concerns me, and I've always seen this, there have been many minority students that I have encountered that have been struggling. There are some that are well qualified. I mean, they're at the top of the class, but there are many that are struggling. They are failing. They would have been successful if they had gone to a state university or a community college or a trade school. They leave school with a lot of debt, and I firmly believe that one reason we have so much unrest on college campuses today, so much anger and bitterness, and the students want to self-segregate is because Many of them are not prepared for the institutions they have been allowed to matriculate at.
Antoine, you talk about racial differences. There's a case at Harvard right now, pending in the courts, where Asian American students are claiming reverse discrimination, that their numbers are being reduced because they're overqualified. Doesn't that strike you as unfair for them?
Pete, if you don't think that my opinion is in line with reality, ask the National Education Association, ask the National Education Council. These groups have pushed back religiously on the undoing of this policy by this president.
A lot of them are left-wing groups. That's good. It's fine. They're allowed to be so.
This policy is not about whether kids do well on college campuses. This policy is making sure that we have a pool of people that are able to get into colleges and universities around the country. Look, right here in South Carolina, our flagship university has had issues where African American students, same GPA, same test scores as people who do not look like them, could not get into the school. So I know what that feels like. I know what it's like to be in those situations. So for this policy to be rolled back, this is simply a political move, and the timing is ironic considering that Trump is considering his Supreme Court nomination, and these type cases have made it to the High Court.
Well, Carol, maybe you want to go ahead. Last word, briefly.
I totally disagree because demographically the nation has changed in significant ways. And what I see is that a lot of black students that could have been successful someplace else are at institutions where they're going to fail. They leave with lots of debt. They are angry. They're bitter. And it is
unfair. This is to make sure they get their chance to get into the school.
Asians. It is unfair against Asians as well as other non-minorities who are better qualified. And it's also, the country is not the same as it was 50 or 60 years ago.
We've got to leave it right there. Good debate. Appreciate you both this evening. Thank you.